All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining today's session as a part of Research Impact Week. My name is Annabelle Holt, and I am one of the health sciences librarians here at the Medical Center Library, but I also serve as the nursing liaison librarian. We are glad to have you here for today's workshop, Building Your Research Identity Online Research Profiles. So today I'm going to be presenting the first half of this session. And then I'm going to walk us through some of the resources for building your online research identity. And then I'm going to turn it over to our guest presenters, Baron Wolf and Stephanie Beck, who are here to share more about Scholars at UK and Forager One. During this presentation, feel free to drop your questions in the chat or unmute yourself throughout. And just as a quick reminder, tomorrow will be our final workshop for Research Impact Week, and it will be at noon. So we hope you'll join us again. But if you can't attend live, do not worry. We will be recording these sessions, including today's session will be recorded, and these will be sent out afterwards. And finally, we'll be sharing a short survey link at the end of today's session. So please take a moment to fill that out, as that just helps us improve our future programming for you all. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So today we're going to start by discussing the importance of claiming and maintaining your online scholarly presence. And then I'm going to give you an overview of several widely used tools for online research profiles. And then finally, we're going to cover some of the best practices for these tools and how to use them effectively. And then in the second half of this presentation, we'll be focused more on Scholars at UK and Forager One. So first, why is claiming your online scholarly presence important? First, a scholarly profile is an online record that connects you to your academic publications and your affiliations and any other identifiers that are out there and tied to your research output. Online scholarly profiles like ORCID, Scopus Author ID, and Scholars at UK are, important tools for managing your academic identity. These profiles link researchers to their publications, their affiliations, and also to your metrics. And these just overall help ensure that your outputs are correctly attributed and easily discoverable. So claiming a profile is especially useful for disambiguation. So many researchers share similar names, and automated systems don't always get it right. This recently happened to me for the very first time. My name is Annabelle Holt, and recently a publication appeared under my name for Anna Holt, which is not me. So claiming your profile helps you verify and correct your publication record, which should reduce these errors as they appear in these databases. Another good thing is maintaining a profile also supports the visibility of your work. So when your information is accurate and it's up to date, your work is more likely to be found by, your peers, funders, and other collaborators. So this can be really helpful for tracking your citations, grant applications, and just showing your overall research impact. So there are many platforms now that integrate with these scholarly profiles to help streamline some of these workflows. And in some cases, journals and publishers will require an ORCID ID during that submission process to ensure, accurate author identification and just to make sure that these submissions are more consistent. This also helps reduce, the duplication efforts and supports, cleaner and more reliable data across all of these systems. So online scholarly profiles are these tools that help us manage and present our academic work. These profiles link authors to their publications, to their affiliations, and to their metrics, and are more and more being used. So 4 commonly used platforms are listed here on this slide. These are ORCID, Scopus Author ID, Web of Science Researcher Profiles, and Google Scholar Profiles. Each of these serve slightly different purposes, but they kind of share the common goal of improving the accuracy and the visibility of your scholarly output. So here are the list of tools that we're going to be discovering in the first half of our presentation today. So first, we're going to talk about ORCID. ORCID is the abbreviation for Open Researcher and Contributor ID. ORCID is a very widely adopted tool that lets your researchers with unique, or it just like ties you to a unique and persistent identifier. So this ID will help distinguish you from other people with similar names and ensures that your works are being correctly attributed to you across all of these systems. So this ORCID ID will stay with you throughout your career, regardless of name changes or changes in institutions and things like that. So when I started out my career, I published under the name Annabelle Smith, but I made sure to include my ORCID ID on those publications so that if someone needed to find me, they were able to see that my name is now Annabelle Holt and see that, I had even maybe changed positions and changed institutions. So this ORCID ID has helped distinguish me from other people out there and people with similar names like Anna Holt. So that is one of the strengths of using it. Another one of the strengths of ORCID is how it integrates with a lot of other platforms. So many publishers require an ORCID ID during that submission process to more accurately identify the authors and have more consistency. Researchers can also link their ORCID to other profiles, such as like the Scopus Author ID, and the Web of Science Researcher profile, which we'll be talking about next. So for some of these tools, you can even allow these profiles to connect to ORCID and update your publications, which will, reduce the efforts of having to enter the same information and the same publications across all of these platforms. There is some connectivity there that can help simplify the process a little bit. And also beyond publications, ORCID records can also include things like grants, institutional affiliations, your conference presentations, and just other scholarly contributions. So it's more wide-ranging and encompassing of more outputs than just your publications. And so now I'm going to quickly pass over to Baron to share some of the recent news about ORCID here at UK.
Thanks, Annabelle. Hi, everyone. Baron Wolf, Director of Research Analytics. Just a quick announcement with little details yet, but we have received approval to become an institutional member of ORCID ID. And so being a member of ORCID, getting an ORCID number is free. And yes, we highly suggest you get that free version, especially if you're doing funded research. Many research sponsor agencies are requiring persistent identifiers to be submitted with grants and papers and things like that. But as an institutional member, it leverages more resources. So we'll be able to have data integrations with Scholars at UK and Science CV, which many of you might use for your bio sketches or current and pending support. And with that membership, we can leverage the data in ORCID to better reduce manual data entry. So we will have more to come about that and announcements and instructions on how to fully use that membership once that is complete in the next couple of months.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think that's really, really great news. All right, so next we're going to move on and talk about Scopus. So Scopus Author ID is an automatically generated identifier assigned to authors whose works are indexed in the Scopus database, which is maintained by Elsevier. So this is a tool for linking, authors to their publications, to their citation metrics, and also to those institutional affiliations. So because Scopus is one of the largest abstract and citation databases, the author ID can be really important to see how your output is tracked and evaluated. Another important feature of this author ID is the ability to distinguish between researchers. So it will automatically create a profile when 2 or more articles have been indexed. But again, when multiple researchers share similar names, it tries to use the data like your institutional affiliation, your subject area, or even your co-author information to group these publications correctly. But again, because this process is automated, sometimes these errors can occur. So you may found that, your publications could be split across different platforms. They could be attributed to the wrong people. But if you go on and you claim your author profile on Scopus, you can request corrections to make sure that your record is accurate. And you can manually add some more of your information there as well to flesh out your profile. This profile also includes metrics such as like your total citations, the H-index, also information about your co-authors in your network. It also integrates with ORCID, allowing for your Scopus record to link to your ORCID ID, and then your publications can be imported into your ORCID. So again, that's kind of the relationship there where one can feed into the other. So on this slide, I've listed a link to instructions on how to link these two here. So next, we're going to talk about the Web of Science researcher profiles. The Web of Science researcher profiles have a researcher ID. And this is again, another unique identifier used within Web of Science to help distinguish you and manage your publication records to make sure that they are correctly attributed to you. The researcher ID can help, address some of these common issues, again, with, names by linking your publications to verified people. You can claim your profile, you can merge duplicates, you can manually add missing works to ensure that your record is up to date. But a unique thing about Web of Science is that in addition to tracking your publications, Web of Science has more citation metrics information, such as total citations and your H-index, and it allows you to document your peer review activity more on that platform as well. And so it can kind of give more opportunities to represent other ways of professional contributions that you're representing on your profile. And also importantly, these profiles can also be linked to an ORCID ID. So it allows publications from your ORCID to be imported into your researcher profile. So again, that can help reduce the need for manually updating these profiles and keeping them all up to date at the same time if you can have some integrations there to upload and streamline that workflow. All right, so now I'm going to pass this along to our guest speakers. Stephanie and Baron will help tell us more about Scholars UK and Scholars at UK and how we can use this scholarly profile as well.
Hi everyone again. So Scholars at UK, if you don't know what it is a comprehensive researcher database that is funded through the Office of the Vice President for Research. It was implemented a couple years ago. It is an Elsevier product, and so it does have direct connection with the Scopus database, but it also has lots of other automatic data connections. And so when it was implemented here on campus, it was meant to be a public face of researchers on campus. So it is not a faculty directory, it is a researcher directory. So only certain classifications of faculty and or researchers are included with profiles. But it allows us to integrate a lot of data sources in real time with automation. So for instance, we have researcher metadata, so affiliation data about yourself, so your academic appointments, your administrative appointments, if they're in the faculty database, are all in there and automatically updated. So for instance, if you're an assistant professor and on July 1 you become an associate professor, once the data in the underlying database has been updated and official, overnight your profile will update your title and affiliation, so you don't have to go in there and manually do it. There sometimes is delays, and that's based on paperwork and when departments complete those processes, but it hopefully helps you maintain a more comprehensive, complete, and up-to-date profile. What we found of looking at faculty or researcher profiles on campus on websites is maybe their affiliations were correct, but their publications hadn't been updated in 5 years, and so it was missing a lot of information. So it also includes any sponsored grants and contracts that come in. We automatically add that to the profiles for you. It includes a lot of publications, especially if you have a Scopus ID. That ORCID ID will help, especially when we become an institutional member. But it also has data processing and automation for Web of Science, EBSCOhost, all these many other global indexing databases that your specific discipline might use, allows you to go in, find your information, and allow you to add it in a more automated way than having to manually type the journal name, the volume, the page numbers, and so forth. It includes tools to explore your network for collaboration. So there's amazing network maps that are already created based on your co-authorship. So if you co-author publications with people all over the world, you're going to have a robust map that people and users can explore that work. And it allows you to do a little bit of data mining, a little bit of filtering to make different really cool visualizations and things like that. Um, it also has a fingerprint analysis, so it takes all the metadata related to the information you put on your profile about you and all the content that's included and indicates what kind of research do you do. So what that does is when someone is using Google to find an expert related to something, they might put in a couple keywords, and the metadata that's on that profile and fingerprint are going to have you come up in those Google searches, hopefully in a higher spot and be discoverable for potential industry partnerships or collaborations with institutions and things like that. Those fingerprints are also, you can edit them and change them and things like that. What we also like about Scholars at UK is it has the ability to add additional content that we don't find in traditional data sources. So oftentimes in the STEM field, biomedical fields, a lot of your work and research outputs are indexed in Scopus, Web of Science, PubMed, so they're in there automatic. But if you publish in non-traditional areas, or let's say you do a lot of conference presentations and those are not indexed, or you're in the arts, humanities, social behavioral space, those outlets might not be indexed in large global databases. So it allows you to add that content yourself so that there's a complete record. And of course, it creates public visibility. People can find you, both students on campus can find you and learn more about what you do. And maybe they want to join your lab. And so you can have a profile that talks about what you're looking for. But also the public can find you as experts in your specific areas. There is a URL and a QR code and the links in the chat if you want to go there. But yeah, thanks, Annabelle.
Awesome. Thank you. So next, the final tool that we're going to talk about is Google Scholar. Google Scholar author profiles are freely available pages that display your publications and citation metrics as they are indexed by Google Scholar. So these profiles can provide like a quick overview of, your research output, and these things can include like citation counts, H-index, and even the Google Scholar unique, the I-10 index. But unlike other systems like the Web of Science, Researcher ID, and Scopus that automatically generate these profiles, Google Scholar profiles are created and maintained by the authors. So that means that you need to create it and you need to go in and add those publications. It does give you control, though, over what publications are included, but it requires much more regular attention to ensure that these profiles are accurate and up to date. And also because Google Scholar uses more automated indexing, it can sometimes pull in duplicate entries, or, it might have, misattributed works in there as well. So it's something you need to keep an eye on as well. But one of the strengths of Google Scholar is their broad coverage. So they do index a wide range of scholarly outputs on Google Scholar, and these can include things like, journal articles, conference papers, theses, and even preprints. So this could be useful for disciplines where non-traditional outputs are common, or where open access materials are more frequently cited. But it's important to note that Google Scholar's citation metrics are not always curated in the same way as those from databases like Scopus or Web of Science. So It can be useful for getting a general sense of impact, but you'll want to just be aware that it might not provide a complete picture of someone's citation metrics out there for those contexts. All right, so now we're going to talk about best practices. Maintaining an accurate and up-to-date online presence is increasingly important for researchers at all career stages. So whether you're using any of the tools that we've discussed today, like ORCID, Scopus, Web of Science, Google Scholar, or Scholars at UK, your profiles are your public-facing records of all of your academic contributions. So these can help make your works more discoverable with proper attribution and can help streamline these reporting for grants and publications and other collaborations. But a few of the key practices to keep in mind to make these tools more useful and more reliable are what we're going to cover next. So once your profiles are claimed, it's important to keep them current. And that means regularly reviewing your publication lists, adding new works, correcting any errors or duplicates as they arise. And while some platforms have some automatic updates, you'll want to keep an eye on these profiles just to, it's just a necessary part of the process to make sure that they are accurate and up to date. It's also worth paying attention to how your name and institutional affiliations are appearing across these platforms. So you want to be as consistent as you can to improve the searchability and to reduce that confusion on your works that are out there, especially when, as we mentioned, some of these systems are pulling that data to group these publications together. There might be errors, and you want to make sure it's as clear as possible of what works are yours. You'll also want to link your profiles where you can. So that's another useful practice to help connect your presence online. So for example, you can connect your ORCID ID to your Scopus or your Web of Science profiles, and you can, connect them and allow some of the data connections between them to make it easier. So you're not having to update these profiles manually, and this can help streamline that process as well. And beyond publications, you'll also want to consider what other scholarly outputs that you have could be, reflected on these profiles. So you want to think about grants, your affiliations, maybe your peer review activities, and these can help, give a fuller picture of your academic work and can be, really useful in, evaluation or funding contexts. And also, while citation metrics like the H-index and total citations can be really informative, they can vary across platforms. So you want to interpret those with care. They can be really great indicators, but are not always definitive measures of your impact. And then finally, it's just important to review your profiles regularly. Set aside time to look at your scholarly presence across these platforms. You'll want to check for missing publications, outdated affiliations, incorrect information. Setting up more of a routine to help maintain these will help them overall remain more accurate, complete, and reflect your current work. All right, so now I'm going to pass this over to Baron to discuss Forager 1 with you all.
Thanks again, Annabelle. So Forager 1 is a product, another profile system that was purchased as a collaborative between the Office of the Vice President for Research, the Office of the Provost, and Student Success. And it is basically what we would call a matchmaking service. It is a profile system that allows both faculty and students to have profiles that talks about the research that they do and what research opportunities they are looking for. And so a faculty member can claim their profile and add a lot of great rich content to that profile. You can say, I have this grant and I'm looking to hire some students on this grant. And then based on the data that you put on that profile, students that are looking for those similar things might pop up. You can create connections, you can chat with them and things like that and interact. This is especially good for individuals that don't have students currently that are in the pipeline to work on your research, and for students that want to get into research, but they don't know where to start, or they haven't had a class with a faculty member that has a research area that they're interested in. So it is managed by the Office of Undergraduate Research. So if you have heard about it or seen it, that is the office that manages it. You can claim your profiles and things like that. And it's just a really good way to interact with students. Students obviously can also find you via Scholars at UK, through Google Scholar and all those other profiles. But Forager One allows you to really customize it based on what you're looking for. You can actually turn on a setting that says I'm currently not looking for students, and that helps students understand, oh, I better not email them because they're not actually looking for students. And so it cuts down on those notifications or contacts that might not be fruitful for them in that process. So that is another tool that we encourage everyone to go out and look and explore, and claim your profile and start engaging with the campus student population. Thanks, Annabelle.
All right, well, thank you. I believe now we can turn it over to Stephanie for some Scholars at UK demo. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Annabelle. Can everyone see my screen before we start? Okay. All right. Thank you for having us. Do want to provide a demo of Scholars at UK. It's a lot more effective than going through PowerPoint slides, because Scholars at UK is searchable and very interactive. And I think that's important to highlight. So as Baron mentioned, Scholars at UK really showcases our research expertise, and it is highlights all of our research units. It does highlight our researchers. Currently, we have we're pushing almost 2,900. Now, this is just researchers. This isn't faculty database, which sets scholars apart from your department or college profiles. It does have projects and grants, research output, facilities and equipment, honors and awards and activities. So all of these icons are completely clickable, or you can drill down. You will get this error message like it's thinking, yes, I'm a human. So this just started a couple weeks ago. Apologies. So as you can see, we do have 5 research units. We have centers and institutes listed. We have Office of the Provost, all of our colleges, our cores, and our research priority areas. If you already know the department or researcher that you want to search, you can actually type it in or you can click. So for instance, College of Medicine, you can click and go to their page, and it will actually have a profile that highlights some of the metrics and also highlights all of the profiles within the College of Medicine and all the research output and projects and grants. I'm going to go back home. Scholars at UK also highlights our research priority areas. These are clickable as well. You can go to the page, and we actually collect and update the membership list yearly. We work with all directors to do so, and it also highlights all of the members. And so for instance, Cancer Marquis Center, like they have actually added to their profile. So beyond researchers' profiles, department and colleges can also go in here and customize their profile, and add more detail, and highlight some of their features. Also, we have metrics such as the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So these are clickable. So if you are interested in zero hunger, for instance, you can click here, and it highlights that there are 106 research units that focus on this, 186 researchers and 40 research output. And you can go here, and if you want to collaborate, you can go here and it actually lists those that actually deal with research output associated with zero hunger. These are also displayed on select profiles as well. You can, as a researcher, if you want to modify this, you can actually turn this on, or you can decide to turn it off. It's completely customizable. Another metric that we like to highlight on Scholars at UK is the collaboration. So this is the top research areas for the past 5 years. As you can see, we have research that spans across the globe. You can actually, if you want to see what research is being done in China, for instance, you can click here and it will actually tell you the number of shared research outputs, some of the colleges as well. I mean, you can drill down further. So it really, like, Scholars is a way to drive this collaboration as well. And it really centralizes data. As Baron mentioned, we do have fingerprints. So this, what Scholars at UK does is it mines data using generative AI, and it will assign a fingerprint based on like your research output. And again, this is not only for the university, but these are on your profile as well. I did want to briefly go over our Scholars at UK help page. We realized that, you know, taking on your profile and editing it can be a huge task. So there's lots of questions. So we've kind of highlighted, you know, what Scholars at UK is, and some of the main questions that we get, like who is included in the portal, because not every faculty member is. It's, you know, it's listed here: active full-time employees, research title series. Some have wondered, like, what sources supply Scholars at UK. So, you know, this is pulled from our SAP database, our HR and faculty database. We do pull in from Scopus, Savel, Web of Science, PubMed, but you have to go in and turn these on. So, you know, we also have actually built, you know, resources. So if you want to know how you can edit your profile, we do have verbiage on that, and we do have quick videos as well. So this primarily answers like how you can edit it, and also how you can add scholarly work and publications. I will go in and show you the back end of your profile, how you can edit it. I won't go into much detail, but I do want to highlight some of the main points. But if you want a more detailed overview, we do offer training opportunities. We call them open lab and training sessions that Baron and I feature every other month. Our next one coming up is November the 19th. So if you do have a profile, you are able to log in using this button. It will take you back to the administrative portal. Now mine's going to be a little different view. However, I'm going to switch over to Baron. Sorry, Baron, for picking on you. I have a little different access, so I want to show you personal user. So when you come here, this is what you'll see. And some of the things that are highlighted on your profile, Baron has actually gone in and added a picture. It will have his H-index, his usage, you know, some of the citations. As Annabelle mentioned, if you notice that your H-index is higher or lower than that of Google Scholars, you know, Scopus actually, which we pull in from Scopus, is actually like peer reviewed, whereas Google Scholars is not, and it captures some of the duplication. So that's where the difference comes in. Now you do have options to hide this if you don't want that viewed on your profile. Some of this other data we don't really like to go over. It's not really useful. We usually go into the edit profile. And I will point out that some of the name, like some of the items are mandatory. So we have actually pre-filled in all of the names. We've pre-filled in, the title. And you can actually go in. There are some things that you can customize, like if Baron wanted to go in and edit his name, if he has a known as name, or if he has a translated name, a former name, a default publishing name, you can update that here. Yes.
Stephanie, we can't see that screen.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The pop-up we can't see.
Sorry. Thank you. Let's see if this will. Can you see it now?
We see your Google, just the Google website.
Okay. One moment. Can you see it now?
Now we see sheep.
My sheep. Let me stop sharing.
Share the whole screen instead.
Yeah. Are we in business now?
I see my profile.
Okay.
But I don't see the, yeah, so you,
Yeah.
Okay, now we see it, yes.
Okay, I do apologize. Like I was saying, you can go in and edit like name variants, titles, you can add to it. Now we do have some things that are synchronized. If you see this process circle, that means synchronized. You cannot change that. If something is incorrect and it does have if it is synchronized, you can actually contact your administrator and get that corrected in the database. So we don't have the ability to change that. So we just want to correct the underlying data. IDs, it is important. I know Annabelle will go over how you can add an ORCID ID. This is where you can do this. So you can add, your Scopus ID, ORCID ID, Mendeley. So there are several different options. You can also add image, which we really encourage you to do. We want robust profiles as much as possible. Baron has actually added one. I will say they did change a feature that we always like to point out because it's really confusing to people. If you do upload one, make sure that you do select portrait. Now, if you are doing like a department, edit, you can go in gallery and you can add multiple pictures.
Hey, Stephanie, can you go ahead and show them how to add the ORCID ID and then maybe after that we'll ask if there's questions.
Yeah, this one already has an ORCID ID, so but yeah, you can go here and add your ORCID number and apply, and it will actually check it, identify that it's you, and add it to your profile.
And then what happens with that is once we become an institutional member, we'll have data integration between the two systems. So if you're adding things to your ORCID profile, when you add it there, it's going to either automatically bring it into your Scholars at UK profile, or it's going to ask you, do you want to have it on your Scholars at UK profile, and then go from there. At this point, so I think we could probably ask for questions so instead of going into more of these details. But yeah, and I'll turn it over to Annabelle and see if there was any other specifics you wanted us to share.
All right, guys. No, I think that was a great overview on how some of these integrations can move between this platform and some of those updates coming with ORCID. So yeah, right now I think we'll just have Q&A. So thank you all for joining today's session. We hope that this overview was helpful, but we'll stick around for any questions that you all may have. Feel free to unmute yourself or drop your questions in the chat. And before you go, we'd appreciate if you could take a moment to fill out the survey for today's session. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions.
If you do have questions after about Scholars at UK, Baron did share the emails with Scholars at UK. So please reach out and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
This is Laura. I had a question about Baron's announcement earlier. I know you said you didn't have much information to share, but do you have like a guesstimate timeline when the UK will become a member of ORCID, like 2026 or?
So I don't know how long it normally takes. We've submitted the form to become an institutional member. You have to fill out a form. We've done that. Once ORCID reviews it, they'll send an invoice. We'll make the payment, and then I think we will be a member. It'll take us some time, a couple weeks, to put together maybe some educational material. What does that mean for you as a researcher? What does it mean for the libraries? How to use that membership? We have to figure that out. So I would say in the next couple of months we will be live and a member and available to use it. So yeah, Laura, does that help answer that
Yes,
question?
that's exciting news. Thanks.
We're technically like one of the only SEC schools and one of the only R1 schools that are not members yet, and so they've been hounding us for it, and finally we got the right people at the table and are becoming members. So. I'm not seeing other questions or hands up, but I do just want to reiterate those training sessions that Stephanie mentioned. If you are a researcher, if you have a profile in Scholars at UK, and today was the first time that you saw it, and you're like, oh, there's lots of metadata that's incorrect, or it only has half of my research output and things like that, please do join one of those open labs. We do a basic training, but then we pause and ask, what are your specific challenges or issues and things like that, and we try to help as much as we can. As you saw, there's almost 3,000 user profiles in there, so we obviously cannot provide one-on-one support for a lot of work, but we help advise on how to use the automation and things like that. So please do join that training if you have questions.
That sounds great. And also, if there's any of the content today that you all want to refer back to, you should be receiving a recording of today's presentation. And then this will also be posted on our Medical Center Library website, so you can have access to this again in the future. But yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to drop those in the chat or unmute yourself. And if not, feel free to contact any of us after today's session. And yeah, thank you so much for attending.